Hey everyone, my name is Nisa. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video than I normally do. I thought this video would be perfect because I actually just reached 5 years tumor free. You guys can see my little hoodie. But I wanted to do a story time about my desmoid tumor, how I got diagnosed, and what it was like. I just want to give a fair warning. I am showing some pictures that might be sensitive or graphic pictures of the tumor. So if you're sensitive to that type of content, I would swipe out of the video. You should never see anything that you're uncomfortable with. So about a desmoid tumor. A desmoid tumor is a rare, it's rare. It affects, sorry guys, I haven't really talked about a lot other than like with friends and family, but it's a rare tumor that only affects about 2 to 4 people out of every million. It is fairly aggressive. It's known to come back. There is no known cause to why people get it. Mine was very random. Nobody in my family has had one. It just kind of appeared for me. It's not considered cancer, so it's benign. It's locally aggressive, meaning it's gonna stay in the area that it originally started. So mine was in my abdomen. I remember I was probably 15 years old, and I was at cheer practice, and I love cheer. It was my entire life. Like, I was not a kid who would sit out of practice. I would do everything to my full ability. Like, this was my passion. Like, if there was an Olympics for cheerleading at that time, I would have wanted to go there. Like, I would want to work for that. And there was one practice, we were doing ab workouts. And I remember feeling this like intense, sharp pain every time I tried to do the sit-up. And it hurt so bad, so I was kind of like babying the sit-ups, and my coach knew that I usually don't skip out on things. And so he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know, like, I'm having this pain. I don't know what's wrong." And he's like, he was thinking, maybe something like a what do you call it? Like a sore muscle, like we practice a lot. But like you could see like almost not a visible lump yet, but it was hard. And so he's like, "You know what, sit out of practice. I'm gonna call your parents. It's better to be safe than sorry. Maybe this is something like a hernia." So my mom comes to get me and she takes me to the ER. But at the ER, they didn't even really they didn't even scan me at that first ER visit. The doctor looked way too busy did not care, came in and literally was like, "So what happened?" And I explained to him, I was at practice, this pain has never happened before, and I literally couldn't even practice. So the doctor, he was like, "Well, since you're so active, it's probably just a sore muscle." And I was like, "No, this doesn't feel like the typical sore muscle. I'm an athlete, I know what sore muscles feel like." And he was like, "Well, are you sure it's not just period cramps? Because, those can be pretty painful." And I'm like, respectfully, I've had my period for years. I know what those cramps feel like. This is not that. But he didn't really care. He ended up discharging me. And we still didn't know what was happening. And over the next couple of days, it got worse and worse. I couldn't physically practice. Literally when my team practiced, I was laying on a mat and my coach was like, "No, you need to go back to the doctor." So he calls my mom again. My mom takes me back to the doctor because I couldn't even sit up and watch practice. I was laying on a mat. And the doctor kind of did the same thing. It's probably just a torn muscle, rest, ibuprofen, blah, blah, blah. And was done with it and discharged. And so we were frustrated because it was just getting worse. And then at this point, you could see a visible lump on my abdomen. And my mom was like, "No, we got to go to a different doctor." So we went to a different doctor. They finally decided to do an ultrasound, and they found what they saw to be a mass. And then they were like, "Shoot, something is there." They rushed me for an MRI. It's probably, I've had multiple injuries in my life. I could do an injury story time one of these days, but this is the fastest I've ever gotten into an MRI. Did the MRI, like, results same day fast. And they're like, hey, there's a mass in your abdomen. We're sending you up to the nearest children's hospital. And the next day we went there and we met with the surgeon. This is how fast it went. And the surgeon was like, we're booking you for surgery tomorrow. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, this is kind of ironic because like 2 weeks ago, I was being told, oh, are you sure this isn't just period cramps? And now I'm being rushed into surgery next day. So like, it was kind of crazy. I remember getting to the hospital, I was super nervous because we didn't really know what it was. He wasn't able to, at that appointment where he's like, we're having surgery tomorrow, he basically was like, well, off of the scan, I can tell there's a mass there. He goes, I don't know if it's cancerous or if it's benign. He goes, but we need to get it out because if it grew into my organs, like that would be really bad. He ended up removing almost my whole ab. I can actually show you my scar. Hold on. It's little now because it's been like 5 years, but there's the scar. And I woke up from surgery. He's like, we're going to send it off to like pathology. We're going to figure out what this is. If it is cancerous, we're going to have to like do further treatment so it doesn't come back. He goes, if it's not, we're going to figure out what it is and see where we need to go from there. And I remember that being like, one, that was the most pain I've ever woken up from. I had never been intubated before. And I remember waking up from this surgery and I had the most horrible sore throat. And I was trying to talk and the nurse was like, no, don't talk. And I was like, why does my throat hurt so bad? I was like, they did surgery on my abdomen, not my throat. And she was like, oh, that's because you had a breathing tube in. And I was like, excuse me, what? I had no idea that they were putting a breathing tube in. So that was kind of interesting. But I woke up and was in immense pain from that surgery. So we stayed at the hospital for a while. And a few days later, we got a call saying that actually all the places in Nebraska that test, they weren't able to figure out what it was. So they sent it to the Mayo Clinic, and the Mayo Clinic was the one that actually diagnosed it. And they diagnosed it as a desmoid tumor, which I actually have pictures of my tumor that I will show in the video right now. If you don't want to see them, skip past it, X out of the video. But here are the pictures of my tumor. So the Mayo Clinic was the one that actually diagnosed it as a desmoid tumor. And they oversaw my care here in Nebraska to make sure, I guess, the protocol was correct because the Nebraska doctors had no idea what it was. After that, the surgery and everything, the doctor told me there's a 50-50 chance of it coming back. If it doesn't come back in 5 years, the chances lessen. But he's like, you're gonna have to get regular scans every 6 months for the next 5 years. And so that was pretty daunting, of course, but I think the most hard part about it was that that surgery had damaged some of my nerves and I was living in quite a bit of pain. So I ended up having to do a 6-week chronic pain program. That was really tough because this whole experience, it took probably a year before I was fully back to my sport and able to like do what I loved again. So not only was it like terrifying going through this unknown thing that we had no idea what caused it, we had no idea, it's so rare that my doctors didn't even know what it was, and I was out of my sport, the one thing that I love to do. And so that was really hard. And then I did a 6-week chronic pain program. Because of the pain, I still get like weird sensations where it's at, but the chronic pain program really did help with like rehabilitating what they could, I guess is what you would say, but then also like giving you tools to manage it so that like if you do get that pain, knowing what to do, I guess, and like breathing exercises, yoga, like ice therapy, like things to make it not so intense. And so I loved my doctors at the chronic pain program. I saw someone who taught yoga, I saw a doctor, a therapist, physical therapist. It was really cool. So if you are going through an experience where you're like pain after surgery, if you're eligible, doing like a chronic pain program was super helpful. I feel like that's one of the main reasons I got back to cheerleading, because we went in there with the goal of getting me back to doing normal day life. But I went in there and was like, I want to get back to cheerleading. And they were like, okay. And they helped me figure out a way to go back. And later on, about three years after this whole experience, not 3 years, it was only 2 years. 2 years after this experience, I actually went on to win college nationals. I'll link a photo. So that was really special and really awesome to go from this time where I had no idea if I was going back to my sport to actually winning college nationals. So that was pretty awesome. After the whole thing with the desmoid tumor, it wasn't fully over with yet after the surgery and the chronic pain program, because we found that actually people with desmoid tumors are more likely to also have familial abdominal polyposis, which is basically polyps in your colon that form into colon cancer. So we actually ended up having to do a colonoscopy on my golden birthday, my 17th birthday. I'll link a photo to that too. That was no fun having to have scans done on my birthday, but the good news, the best birthday news I could have gotten is that I was clear for that. So I went to my doctor's appointment, last month, and I got the news I was 5 years tumor free. Woo! And I don't have to do any more scans. I don't have to worry about it. It's behind me. I'll only have to go in if I have symptoms. So I'm really happy about that. I wish I would be able to explain it a lot better. There's actually quite a few details that I left out on the emotional side of it, I guess. Because when we were going through that experience where the doctors were like, we don't know if this is cancer or not, my parents were the only ones who really knew about that. And I remember the first person other than my brother I told about it. Only other person I told about it was my brother. And I remember him being like, does anybody know? Like, do your friends know? And I was like, no, I don't want to scare them. And I remember my brother being like, we're going to call your friend right now. We're going to meet them for dinner. And you're gonna tell them. And I was like, I don't want to scare them. And he was like, this is not something you should go through alone. And so I'm really thankful for my brother through that, because during one of the scariest times of my life where I was kind of scared to be a burden on other people, I didn't want them to be worried, my brother was like, nah bro, you ain't doing this alone. And so that was really cool to see like how many people are actually there for you when you think it's something you should handle by yourself. So that was really awesome, and I'm so thankful to my bro for that. I hope this video was informational. If you are going through similar things, get checked. Don't let doctors, if you know your body better than anyone else. If a doctor is dismissing you and being like, no, like, what if it's just period cramps? Don't listen. Advocate for yourself. Because on the chances that it is something more, it is so incredibly important. Because if we would have just let that tumor sit and would have believed the doctors, there would have been a chance of it growing into one of my organs, and that could have been fatal at that point. So I'm really grateful for the doctors that did listen, and my team that got it taken care of and who got me back on my feet to live the life that I'm living today. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't be afraid to reach out to people for help. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk, my little story time. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I love y'all. Mwah.